Hey, welcome to Richmond.
Thank you very much. First time.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Been having fun?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the inside of the convention center.
Yeah.
The hotel lobby.
Yeah.
And
the airport.
And a little bit of the airport. I was yearning so much for some Richmond culture that I was looking up fun facts this morning just about it. And I started with the hotel and realized the Jefferson was made in 1895, so I got that going for me, and hope to come back many times and find out a little bit more.
Right on. Really good museums here.
Fantastic.
If we get a chance, definitely check that on out. So, what I'd love to do is just go cover some of the boilerplate baseline stuff, and I'll cover some of your topics of note, and then I'll jump out and take some questions. When I have a solo guest like yourself, first thing I always ask is, okay, what drew you to becoming an actor?
Boy, what drew me to become an actor was it seemed like the most impossible dream anybody could have coming from where I came from. I'm from a small little town in northern Minnesota, 10 miles south of Canada. My town was population 2,500, 2 stoplights. We lived 25 miles out on the farm. We had 3 channels. We had 1 movie theater in town that only played movies Friday through Saturday, and it was the same film. I think we got Men in Black when Men in Black 2 was coming out in all your local AMCs. It just, I've talked about this a little bit before, but for a farm kid with chores and isolation, and the elements, the Jurassic elements that they have up there in Minnesota, the 40 belows and what have you. It was the only form of escapism, movies, sitting there, sort of being able to be taken out of your reality for just a moment, believe in fantasies and stories, whether they're thrilling or dramatic, or just by chance they happen to be something that you were going through. It was just mesmerizing for me, and something just drew me to it. I wanted to be there up on that screen doing that for somebody else. And then once I moved away from Minnesota, when I finally got to go to the movies and experience films I'd never imagined and pay for 1 film and stay for 3, I started seeing more and more films that just were gripping, performances like I'd never seen before, actors I really didn't know, I wasn't familiar with because I wasn't brought up in the industry like a lot of my friends, or on the theater stages or church choirs or anything like that. And so everything was a game of discovery for me and catch up, and just the creative wheels started turning, and I just wanted more and more. I wanted to give kids the experience that I had.
Nice. I think you succeeded in several of your projects.
Thank you.
I really did. You're a musician. Tell us a little bit. What's your style, and what are your influences?
Well, it's I sort of fell into it, but I guess when it's within the creative realm and sort of the creative expressions, it comes quite natural. I'd started playing guitar for a film I did, Country Strong, and after that, I did quite a few other music films where additionally I was writing a lot of the songs for and performing more and more. But sort of throughout this journey, throughout my ties to Nashville, I had extremely talented songwriter pals, extremely talented musician pals, and every time we got together, we would play, we would write, and then when I'd be on the road shooting far off the hotels, this and that, there comes that certain sense of loneliness. You always have a journal with you, or you're writing poetry, or I always am, and so now that I play the guitar, that the two go hand in hand, and so there was this never-ending compulsion to now create and express in this form. Any poem that I'd written previously could always be utilized for a song, no matter how simple or complex it was. There's songwriters, I mean, there's a guy, Blaze Foley, that's sort of at the top of the top for me. Nobody really knows him. And just a little bit more people know somebody of the likes of Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark and guys like that. Those ones, you know, they're the storytellers, lyricists that I really admire. You know, any big country musician will tell you, well, you know, aim just a little bit higher because nobody knows them. But that's not, for me, it's not why I've put out these songs in the last couple of years. It was just, I'd written so many, and there's so many that still come out. I just felt at a certain point that I was kind of depriving myself, you know, the sharing these with anybody, with the world, and so we've done that, and eventually here we'll be able to put an LP out. I mean, we were gonna last summer, but I was just too busy shooting, and so now there's 4 times as many songs in the Rolodex to come out, and so and many more. But then we jump on projects like Tulsa King. Now, you know, it was Sly's idea to perform on that, and I was almost hesitant at the beginning. And I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's do it again. Now I got to head to Atlanta next week just to put a song down that we're going to start off with in the first ep of the second season. And so there's a nice little marriage, but all in all, it's always, you know, just a beautiful creative expression. And you know, I'd be unfair to myself if I didn't do it.
Speaking of Tulsa King, I adore it.
Thank you.
Great show, great cast. How'd that come about for you?
Taylor Sheridan and I, we've crossed paths many times over the years. When he was doing the award circuit round for Wind River, we were on the same, you know, boat for Mudbound. After that, I'd started receiving a bunch of projects that he was working on, and ultimately the times had never lined up to be able to do them. A lot of the wonderful projects he's done have crossed my path, and ultimately this one came about. I was on location shooting in Birmingham, Alabama, and they said, how about this one with Sly? And at that point, I'd just done so many films back to back where I was kind of immersing myself into a lot of these characters dealing with, you know, big internal battles.
Keep talking. I'm gonna close that door. So I know it's gonna happen.
Like, you know, for instance, I mean, Mudbound was a character dealing with the massive PTSD post-war. And Burden, I went right into where I was playing the you know, a head knight in the KKK, and Jesus, and this you know, Steven Soderbergh show Mosaic, this Ang Lee film, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, that was, you know, another character, another soldier that was dealing with some really tough stuff. For Tulsa King, I just wanted to do a project where we could show up and have fun with some guys that I really love, I really admire. Stallone, I'd met before I shot my first scenes in Troy all the way back. We went to the same trainers, so I've known him for a very long time. And every time I cross paths with him in town, you know, at a restaurant or something like that, he runs off to whoever he's sitting with, my whole resume of everything that I've shot. And he'd be like, hey, Garrett, how's that On the Road going? I'm like, how the fuck did you know? I just finished shooting it 4 days ago. Like, we've been on the road for the last 6 months all over the place. Yeah, I've been watching. And so it's one where we get to show up, him and I sitting on set and just reminiscing is a beautiful thing. And you know, he's the world's hero. And it was similar to you know, even the first film that was crickets in here, by the way, when he mentioned Desperation Road. You know, sitting with Mel Gibson on set, like it's, like I'd said, from me starting off being that kid on the farm, just watching films to get out of chores, not like it ever succeeded, but to be sitting there with Braveheart and all and as a kid on the farm, I'm even the kid that watched What Women Want 47 times. And so, we get, and so it's sitting, my whole career has really been about some wonderful breaks of getting to sit with the best of the best, watch how they conduct themselves on set, watch how they actually get more nervous than anybody would imagine, watch how they mess up more than anybody would imagine, and still they go on and shine the way that you've always watched them shine. It really allows you moving forward as an artist to allows your shoulders to drop. It allows you to relax. It allows you to realize we're all human. We all make mistakes, but we all have great aspirations and great dreams, and we all strive for the same sort of thing. And that's been the best thing about getting to work with some of these co-stars. I mean, I was working with Peter O'Toole on my first film, and all of my pals that told me I was crazy to move to Los Angeles and study, to aspire for film instead of must aspire for theater. My best friends were getting full rides to Oberlin, for theater, and I was at Borders and Barnes and Noble reading Hollywood Reporters and Varieties because I wanted film. And they'd read all of Shakespeare by 10th grade. It's just different paths. But then my first film, I got to be there working with who they all idolized in the theater world.
Peter O'Toole.
And so it's a wonderful thing.
I was about to say, you kind of covered what...
Sorry, that was, I know, I understand that question was only about, so how's Tulsa King?
No.
But,
No, this, that's what I love, bro. Because I was going to ask you about it. You worked with so much amazing veteran talent. And again, guys, like in my formative years, yeah, like you said, like Stallone and Gibson and O'Toole, and this whole thing is just, and it's so great that you're able to get a chance to observe these guys and learn from them.
Absolutely.
And and you're right. I think out of Sheridan's projects, what he's up to, like 19 shows now. But Tulsa King is the most fun. There's a great sense of humor to that one. Yeah. And I mean, Yellowstone's very serious, and Mayor is just like crazy awesome. Yeah. But I can put it this way: I can watch Tulsa King with my mom. Yeah. And she thinks you're adorable. She wanted me to say that.
Oh, tell Mom thanks.
I will. I absolutely will. So, you've even regular productions can be fraught with all kinds of fogs, but you've worked on a lot of fandom properties, stuff like that. So, out of all these projects you've done, what's been just the craziest, most bonkers day you've ever had on a set?
Shit, I'll say it was just this last film I shot. One would think there's been a lot of fandom films, but it's really funny. Like when I come to these shows, a lot are here for like Tron. and maybe a little Triple Frontier, maybe a tiny bit Pan, or stuff like that. But the ones that have really been visceral to me, it's funny with the crowds here, they've never heard of. Like, On the Road was one of the greatest things that, when I found out I got that, was one of the greatest things to ever happen to me. It wasn't about the bigger budgeted films whatsoever. This was, I was in awe, and I'll get more onto that. But one of the craziest moments on set, I think I'm explaining why some of these ones are so necessary for me. They're so vital just for my entire creative genome. But this last film that I just did, I was shooting in Iraq for the last month and 20 days, beginning of January to February 20th. And before I flew out there, even there was a drone strike on the American base in Erbil, and Americans got injured. That was over Christmas, and we're still slated to start January 8th. And I was still just as excited, but I'd been committed to this film essentially ever since about 2007. And it couldn't get made, and it was too risky, and me and the director just ended up becoming best friends. But this director is one that does these crazy journeys, and so it's understandable this one couldn't get made. He did a film about the Silk Road. He went and shot 18 months walking the Silk Road from China to Turkey with two camels and a couple Turks. He did a film, he bought a place in the favela in Rio, which is like one of the most dangerous places in the world, and he to live in at least, and bought a place and wrote a film and did a beautiful story in the favela. So now, cut to, we're shooting in Iraq. Everything that's going on over there is going on. A week into us shooting, 12 ballistic missiles had dropped 10 minutes away from the hotel. And still we're on set the next morning at 10 a.m. shooting, like right in the center of the city, right by the Citadel in Erbil, which is one of the oldest, most inhabited structures in the world. And then our Iraqi and Turkish crew, like nobody's saying anything. And I say, is anybody going to say anything about the bombs last night? They're like, please, Garrett, please don't worry. This happens very often here. Everything is safe. We're fine. And that was kind of it. And then the next day we're shooting, and my assistant had said, did you guys hear the gunshots? I said, what? Like, we were watching a drone be shot down, and this was continuously happening every night, every 2 nights as we were shooting. It was kind of one of the craziest journeys I'd ever been on, but by far one of the most memorable, by far one of the most sort of nourishing to me, because I've always been a risk taker, a thrill seeker, this and that, and it sort of facilitated all of that. Thankfully, everybody, was safe and remained safe, but that was the craziest.
Yeah, how could it not be? My goodness. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Oh, absolutely. I got 1 or 2 more, and then I'll jump on out. What's the dream gig? You can write your own ticket.
Dream gig to me is something a little simpler. I mean, there's films that touch my heart and continue to, or are films like Tender Mercies, Duvall. They're films that...
Hey, mister, were you really Mike Sledge? Yes, ma'am. Yes, I was.
That's very... You wore me outside. You are very good at this. Those are just the ones that... They're so classic. They're so touching. They're so heartfelt. And they're so tender. Those are the dream roles. And they're further and fewer to come by these years. And so... I'd like to bring a gem like that back into the world.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Think everybody else would too, right? Yeah. Absolutely. But we're still hoping for another Tron.
Absolutely. You know what's so great? I've explained many times. I've had so many people come up and, seemingly upset about it. I think it's such a great thing for the Tron world with what they're doing with Ares. First, these guys have been through roadblock after roadblock trying to get this film made. First COVID, then they got going, and then the strike hit and everything. And bless them, now they're on the road, they're shooting it. I think it's going to draw so many people back to the grid. I think it's going to, be a big stamp of approval for Disney to make the sequel to Legacy come to fruition. The script's there all they got to do is have the support of the fans to pull the trigger. You know, when we were ready to go in 2013, Disney was sort of in a kind of conundrum. You know, they didn't felt it made enough to instantaneously feel confident about the sequel. It made $400 million, you know, and made Joe Kosinski the highest grossing first-time director. But right at that point, what Disney had acquired Marvel and sort of had this sure thing. And so the fact that they even agreed to have Ares come to fruition is a wonderful thing. That's a step in the right direction. And then when Ares comes out, you know, with the fans' support and craving for the Legacy sequel, I think with fate and good fortune on our side, we'll see it happen. So I think it's a great thing. That was for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for indulging my capricious curiosity. I'm going to jump out in the audience, and well, I think I'll just take hands, and I'll sort of come around to y'all and load up my ammunition here. And whoever asks the first question will get 2 pieces of candy. How's that? All right, who wants to start? Who wants to start us off? This gentleman over here. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Miles.
What you got, Miles?
So, first saw Friday Night Lights. I was a sophomore in college, right around the same age, and just a little love for the movie. I was playing rugby at the time. We would watch the end of Friday Night Lights and part of the movie, the program, before every game just to get hype. So, a lot of love for that. Did you play football much growing up? Did you play hockey? I know you were in Minnesota to get yourself ready for that role.
Gee, I mean, I wanted to play plenty of football. I did play hockey. Thing was, we were farmers though. My pops couldn't really. First, the football came around when harvest was going on, so I really got, I really couldn't do that. And then, especially for hockey, the equipment was too much. Hence, I grew up a wrestler. For the film, though, man, we moved down to Austin the beginning of January. We started shooting that probably about mid-January, end of January or something, 2004. We were put through, us players, we had to do 5 a.m. boxing training together in a mechanic shop, beat the crap out of each other, then go to 2-a-day football practice. We had the hailed Odessa Hell Week. I mean, we were put through the ringer on it, it paid off, but it, paid dividends in the excruciation.
Right on, thank you. Good one, start us off with. And this young fellow over here, and then I'll come to you. Hey, what's your name?
Owen,
Owen, what do you want to know, Owen?
what was the funniest thing that happened on Tron for you?
Man, thanks for asking that, Owen. The funniest thing that happened, you know who Daft Punk is, right? Do you know? They were
Was that your father or the girl you met in the movie?
It was very close, but it was neither. But they were so Daft Punk. They're these DJs. They're the ones that did the music for the whole album. All that suspense music you hear. But these guys were renowned all over the world for their abilities, but also their secrecy. Like they never showed their faces in public. First. But their music is also very electronic. And so I thought it would be so funny, because I got one of those electrocuting pens that you get from like Spencer's, this prank store.
I sold those.
And so I went and I got one of the electrocuting pens, and I went around to everybody on set asking if they would sign my script. And I giggled like hell when everybody got electrocuted by my pen. And I got Daft Punk as well, and everybody's like, my God, you electrocuted the most electric musicians of all time. And so I got that, but it turns out the joke was sort of on me, because I ended up with quite a few giggles, but no signed script. And so but ultimately it was a very good day. So,
Cool. That's a great question, Owen. Thank you. And this gentleman up front. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, Joe. Thank you, sir, for coming. My question was: is there any actor that you haven't worked with yet that you really want to?
man, I really dig everything Mads Mikkelsen does. I'm a big Mads fan. You know, and even these films like what came out last year, Arctic. You know, to see what he does and something like that, and I got nothing but, whether it be those other guys like Mads and Viggo Mortensen are the guys that if you give them an indie, they're so wonderfully contained and so in their character and so kind of no BS about anything and just your man's man, and then you give them a studio film and they're just sort of, they got that iconic grit. And so, yeah, I'd say Mads right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Who got another one? All right.
Thank
Hi.
you, Owen.
Later on. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Julia. So you can't act anymore. And for some reason, every job in the world is gone and you have to turn to a life of crime. Which person or company are you stealing from and why?
Are you trying to get him in trouble on the internet or something?
I'd steal from Charlie Hunnam. I know where his vault is. I know where he hides it. I won't get caught. So we've been friends for 20 years, and I know how to, I think, fool him. I mean, the only time he catches me is when I really want him to catch me. Yeah, I'd say, I'd say with what he's got stashed away, it'd be enough for me to facilitate a clean getaway. Not have to really deal with the law because he won't rat me out. He just want to pummel me. And at the end of the day, when he catches me, I'd just say, "Joke's on you, bud." So.
There, fair? Yeah. All right, sounds good. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Jillian. Super excited for your music coming out. I have two questions. One, I know you're really close with Tim McGraw. What's your favorite Tim McGraw song? And what other artists coming out of Nashville are you really excited about, like their music and their songwriting?
Goodness. Well, first, yes, Tim. I love Tim. I could talk about Tim all day. I mean, that was one of the craziest experiences of getting into film. I mean, I was driving the tractor at 12, 13, 14, singing "Don't Take the Girl," and by the time I'm shooting Friday Night Lights, he's playing my father. Then I'm up on stage with him singing "I Like It, I Love It" in Austin, and then we do "Country Strong" together, and Truck Yeah music videos. For him, "Don't Take the Girl," hands down. Nashville young singers right now. I really love what Charles Wesley Godwin's doing. I think he's got a great voice. He's just a great human. And I think somebody recent, the guy Josiah from Josiah and the Bonnevilles. I love his. I play my son his music every night in the bath. It's just something great, and I've had no qualms at reaching out to both of them and expressing how much I love what they're doing. I just love when somebody's doing something and watching that they just absolutely love it themselves. And so yeah, those are the two. Yeah.
Hey, who's got another one? Up here. All right. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Reese. I know you said you're close to Charlie Hunnam. How was it playing his brother in Triple Frontier?
First, it was due time. Second, it just really wasn't as great as I thought it'd be. Man, Charlie and I are the ones that, when both of us weren't getting a gig, we started prepping each other on auditions. And Charlie'd be like, oh, G-Funk, I'd rather one of us gets this gig than one of those schmucks. And so it was like, we'd sleep on each other's couches, and mostly me sleeping on his because he was too lazy to drive to mine. But, it's one of the great things about doing what we're doing and just kind of, it's not only great to have brothers, but it's great to come out here on these journeys. I never started doing them until Charlie had coaxed me for the upteenth time. He was talking about doing these with him when we were shooting Triple Frontier. And coming out, we just realized that it's the best of both worlds. We're always here and there and never at home at the same time. We get together, have more laughs than we basically had all year anywhere else, meet some of the greatest fans ever in the world. I leave here much more grateful than I can imagine any of you leave here, and that's just it. So these weekends just are beautiful gifts.
Cool. All right, we got two. We'll take Zelda, then we'll take the guy in the poison shirt. We'll go.
Izzy. What you got? What was one of the most difficult scenes to film in Tron?
I'd say anything that involved a stunt. And that's kind of jokey, but it's sort of true. The suits that we were in were the first of their kind. It was this fine synthetic rubber. It was probably about 5 times tighter than a wetsuit, or as suffocating as one. It was thicker, and it had to be skin tight because it had to be skin. The lights were so fragile, the paper thin LEDs, that if I were to do a shoulder roll, a flip, a dodge, a parry, what have you, one of the lights would crack, and then it would take about an hour to replace it because they'd have to unglue it, get another one, be fragile, re-glue it, re-dry it, plug it into its tether, this and that. And that was a daily occurrence. And so that's how days really turned from 12-hour, 13-hour shoot days to 17 hours very quick. But we had to do them, and so those were just some of the obstacles. Yeah.
Cool. Good question. Thank you. All right. At the drive-in.
So I'm a DJ, and according to your IMDb, it says that you like punk rock. So what are your favorite punk rock artists?
They really got to update these IMDb things. Those have been carrying with me ever since. It was some of somebody. I don't know how many times I've been asked how on earth I play the violin, but I don't. Punk rock was just when I was in Scottsdale, Arizona for high school. My backup plan was photojournalism. Like I was flying back and forth to LA for auditions, but photojournalism was becoming something I was having passion for. And the only way I got to exercise photojournalism was to go to all the concerts around town. Obviously, me and my pals at that time were like high school when you go through your phases. It was the punk rock phase. It was. I seem to forget a lot of them around now, but anything that was around the time of Good Charlotte. So we'd go to the shows like this band, The Anniversary or something like that, and I'd wear 2 false kind of placards and put them upside down on each other, and I'd say I was a press photographer, and so I'd get access to a lot of these shows. I mean, just by fibs. I mean, I went to see Destiny's Child when there were 5 of them. I'd get backstage of these, and I remember going up to Enrique Iglesias as he was looking out at the crowds from way beyond, and I'm like, big show out there. And he'd look down, he's very tall, so he'd look down at me and be like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah. I remember eating ice cream cones with vitamin C in the green room and stuff. It was nutso, but that was my photojournalism stuff, and that was married to the punk rock fandom of me that it's got on the IMDb, wiki.
All good. We are just about at time, but before we wrap up, anything on the horizon or on the docket that you're allowed to share with us?
Yeah. Got a wonderful film coming out in the beginning of April with Zoe Saldana called The Absence of Eden. One of our co-stars in Triple Frontiers in that as well, Adria Jorna, who's wonderful. Shot a film, Barron's Cove, that will come out at some point this year. Very emotional story. This film we just shot in Iraq. I mean, they're in the editing bay right now. We start second season of Tulsa King in a couple weeks, shooting in Atlanta. I hear this one's going to be a thrill ride. They want to get explosive with it, so that's it from now, and then many others to shoot after we finish the season.
Absolutely outstanding. GalaxyCon 2024. This was Garrett Hedlund. That was our time.